Hi everybody, we're Dave and Sue and we're the very proud owners of Bailey Adamo Motorhome, Florrie. Florrie's a 73 registration, so we've now owned her for 12 months. We thought it'd be useful to film a full review of our year in an Adamo. We've travelled widely in the UK and now in Europe. We spent a total of just over 4 months in the van in that year. The longest was a month in Europe. We've just got back, which is why Florrie needs a good clean. There is now a 2025 version of the Adamo on the market. It's got a few improvements which we'll detail later, but they're pretty minor, and so for anyone who is already thinking about acquiring an Adamo, both new or used, we really hope this video will be useful to you. We've had just the most wonderful year in Florrie the Adamo, so here's a few short clips of what we've been up to and why we've had such a wonderful time from being complete newbies on our first trip. Back in, I think, shall I?
Try, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, should we go forward?
We'll go. I'll go.
Actually.
So our last stop in northern France. Okay.
If I put my hands up, just get on the foot brake and I'll put some wood below your wheels.
Okay, thank you.
Watching them. If he puts his hands up, stop. Are we okay? Yeah. Yeah, don't run her over. No. Yeah. Oh, gosh.
It's Dave and Sue, NB Nature Trail Van. We are in a bit of a 2 and 8 at the moment because we've had our habitation check. So everything's all over the place in the van. We wanted to do a review, a 1 year review of owning a Bailey Adamo. This is a 75 4T, but it sort of should be the same as anybody that owns any of the 75 models or the 69 or the 60. Most of them are pretty much similar, and obviously some of the internals will be different, but everything else we'll talk about hopefully makes sense to a lot of people, and hopefully if you're interested in a Bailey Adamo, then obviously it'll be useful for you to make some final decisions. We have lived in Florrie, not lived in Florrie, but we have had Florrie now for over a year, and in that year we have stayed in the van for 114 nights, so that's near enough 4 months. So 4 months out of 1 year, so we think we're quite experienced, and therefore we're qualified to give you a good idea of exactly what it's been like. What?
I'm just laughing at you.
Anyway, so over and out. We're going to try and tidy up in here, and then we'll perhaps do the review from sitting down and chatting through, and I'll add some clips of bits of film that we've taken over the last year or over the last few minutes outside and inside. Okay, here we go. A quick review of the outside of the motorhome. You can see we've got our big decal on, and you can also see we've got our Angles Morts stickers because we've uprated our motorhome over 3.5 tons because the payload is very low. It's something you need to consider if you are buying one of these. In terms of outside storage space, the garage is massive. I mean, you certainly get, you can see my hand in there. I've got an aqua roll the back end there. It's a bit of a mess. We've just been to have a check, and I've just been dumping it all back in. I've got to tidy it all up, but you know, you can see you could get an awning, and you can get chairs, and you can get absolutely everything you need really. And here I've got somewhere under there's a waste master, as I say, aqua roll, all your front screen covers, spare toilet cassette, and yeah, lots and lots of space in there. You also do get here a door into the motorhome, so you can actually access this garage from here, which is quite useful, and I'll explain why in a minute. Toilet cassette, standard. Our guys, the dealers, fitted a barbecue point for us. That's not standard, but our dealers fitted that for us. We remain at the back of the vehicle. I did do a video on semi-air suspension, which you can see there, and it's made an absolutely huge difference to our driving, the ride of the vehicle and the safety sway of the vehicle when you're going on a motorway past lorries, all round corners. And we really found it useful getting on ferries in Scotland. We've also got a Malenko door lock fitted. You don't get these as standard. Quite like the decals on the Adamos. 4.5 metre awning fitted. Again, that doesn't come as standard. Your LPG and your gas. We have got a refillable bottle, one 6 kilogram refillable bottle in here. We also have an exchangeable bottle, so here's my exchangeable bottle and there's my refillable bottle, and there I've got a gauge on the two and also a gauge on the refillable. So they're 6 kilogram bottles, the pair of them, and very useful they are too. I'd imagine you could fit an 11 kilogram to 11, probably one 11 and one 6 in here. The tuber boiler outlet, always make sure that remains clean. And here is the whale water filler point. Now I'm going to put on the you see here, look, always place pumping water cannon before plugging pump into the socket to avoid continuous or dry running. Now that is actually one of 2 whale fittings. You've got to make sure you get the right fitting. Other vans we looked at had, as well as a whale fitting, they also had a hose which would go direct into the van and would be quite a sensible addition to a van like this. However, it has a filling mechanism on the control panel, and more of that at some stage on our video. One of the things we did do on our first trip out, which when we had no idea what we were doing, because our whale fitment was the wrong one. Unfortunately, our dealer gave us the wrong one, which is unlucky. We've since bought a hose with the fitment and a pump for the aqua roll with a fitment. What we ended up doing was filling our water tank through this garage, through the garage door, and then through this garage into the water tank, with internal blinds, obviously for the side windows, and one for the front window. Interestingly, and now I'll take you inside. When we chat about inside, I'll tell you about the issues that these Fords have with condensation. But let's have a look at the inside the engine. So it's one flick to the right, one flick to the left, and that brings up the bonnet. The one thing that is very important is that because these motorhomes or Ford Transits are on this base, they have a bit of an issue with water dripping through gaps in the engine here, through to the engine and through to the injectors, which are just down here. So this is what's called the Rob Drew tray. I'm not going to go into it in detail because other people have done that, but if you Google a Rob Drew tray, it's something that a guy has made for about, I think they're about 120 quid, and you basically fit these in. They're simple to fit, but they pull the water, stop it going onto the injectors, and take it out down this hose. I've just refitted this and haven't put a hose clip on, but it does need a hose clip on there. The other thing that under the front here, because of the condensation, you do get problems with the electric. Sometimes you get problems with electric. Condensation goes down behind the dashboard and hits the EHU, causes big problems. And again, there's a few fixes on the online for that, including the Peter Burton cover. You can get these online. Google Peter Burton cover and you'll get that. Now, I don't have one on this motorhome. I can't fit it because I've got the control unit for the semi-air suspension under the dashboard. However, we always, every single time, fit our thermal screen covers outside to stop condensation inside. So yeah, that's a couple of things to be wary of when you buy a Ford. However, there are obviously problems on a lot of I know the Peugeot gets major problems with the airbag warning light coming on all the time. So you know, every manufacturer's got small problems. This one is something which you can do to mitigate that. With the Adamo, you have a big fridge, full-size fridge. There's the two covers. I need to put my winter covers back on here fairly soon because we are starting to get frosts, especially on travelling, and it's something I've got to remember to do. You do need to, when you're travelling, especially in low temperatures, and even if you're storing in low temperatures, you want to try and protect your fridge outlets. And so I've made some fridge covers, which I'll show you at another date. We found is you open the door on this model and you hit your electric hookup point. So if you're getting one and you get yourself electric cable, get one that's right angled so that the connection comes out here right angled, right and straight out, because it just hits the door. So before we get into the main part of the review, let's have a quick look at what the 2025 Adamos are going to look like. Yeah, so here's all the Adamos. You've got the 60, 69 in the corner, 75 4T, 75 4i, 75 4DL. So the first change to note is there's now an 8-speed automatic or 6-speed with a rotary gear shift. There's a tow capacity now, which there wasn't before. 200 watt solar panel rather than the 100 watt. A touchscreen console. Slate grey cab rather than the light grey cab. There's a small condiments cupboard under the sink where there wasn't before. The fascias of the cupboards are now cream rather than wood effect. And there are black alloy wheels rather than the chrome alloy wheels before. You pay an additional £5,000 for this stuff compared to the price for last year's model. 3, 2, 1. Hello guys, yeah, so I just mentioned that we've been for a hab check. We're now loading the van back up. It's a right pain. After 1 year, you always need a hab check, especially obviously on a new van, and we've just been and had it all done, and it's been a right pain, isn't it?
Well, it particularly bad for when you're in storage, because you have to unload it all, which for us took several trips and then back again. Yeah, but we're there now. Probably easier if you got it on your own drive.
But that's sort of by the by. Yeah. So we're here to talk about our 1 year experience in our Bailey Adamo. It's a 75 4T. You can buy a 75 4i with an island bed. You can buy one with a rear lounge. You can buy a 69 and you can buy a 60. So there are variations of the Bailey Adamo, but hopefully this will give you some good tips about the general Bailey Adamo.
It should apply to most models. Yeah. I think.
So some of this stuff we would have covered on our 6-month review, which is back in our playlist. However, we would like to repeat these things for people who are new, because, you know, if you're out there looking to buy a new van, then obviously you're going to need to know all this information, really. So we wanted to try and put it all together. This is our experience after 1 year of having this, owning this vehicle, and actually living in it for 4 months. Over that period of time, we've had a month in total. The longest was a month in Europe. Yeah. We just got back from our European trip. Videos in the content but it was great, wasn't it? But a whole month living in it, and we loved it, didn't we? We had no problems at all.
No.
So anyway, here we go. So your first, there's a big long list. We've got a list, a couple of bits of paper, because we'll forget stuff if we haven't got those. So bear with us. Here we go. So payload on this vehicle is 330 kilograms. Now that isn't very much at all. When you look at other vans, you got a lot more than that. This one, for a big van, because it's a big van, to get to 3.5 tons, they've only let us have 330 kilograms of additional payload. So if you go over 3.5 tons, you're illegal. You potentially invalidate your insurance, and you can get all sorts of fines and be in big trouble. At the end of the day, what we've done is we've upplated this van from 3,500 to 3,850. You can take it up to 4 tons.
Yeah.
But we took it to 3,850. We know that we won't ever go over 3,850. But interestingly, we went to a weighbridge before we went to Europe when we were at 3.6, weren't we? So we had about 250 kilos left.
And that was the maximum we'd ever have on board. Yeah. Apart from if we got a couple of bikes, maybe.
But if you've got, I mean, this is supposed to be a 4-person van. If you've got 4 people in here, you are no way, I don't think, going to be able to keep it to 330 kilograms payload.
Which is what I said in the last review. Yeah. Think about what you're carrying with regard to how many of you there are. Because it does need a bit of thought.
Uprating the vehicle was very easy. It was a paper exercise through the DVLA. We actually used a consultancy firm to do it, but a lot of people do it themselves. It's just a case of getting all the right documentation, sending it off to DVLA, and getting that sorted through them.
Any questions on that, ask us below.
Yeah, because again, we've done it, so we know what we're talking about, really. Then, in terms of certain other things that we've found on the vehicle, the Ford cab itself, the Ford cab, I'll put an extra video on some of the outside. I've already done that, about the engine and about the electrical control unit under the dashboard. But in general, this vehicle is fantastic. I've seen some quite negative stuff online about the Ford motorhomes. People saying, well, should I buy a new motorhome? Some people have said, just avoid the Ford. And you're thinking, why? Why do they want to avoid a Ford? There's so many now that use Ford motorhomes. This is a fantastic. It is 160 brake horsepower. It's automatic. It drives like an absolute dream. The cab is wonderful. It's really comfortable. It feels like a car. It actually feels like our car to drive. We've got a Ford car. And this is almost more comfortable
to be a passenger in. Also, what about the tray?
Yeah, that I've actually put about the two big issues that Ford engines or Ford Transits do get, and it's just Ford Transits across the board, really. But I've put a bit when I filmed outside the other day.
Oh, right, okay.
So we'll add that bit in.
Yeah.
The next one was the Bailey whistle. It's really famous, the Bailey whistle is. And what the Bailey whistle is this Skylight. And that Skylight, I'll add a bit of film in which we used before. The Skylight potentially at high speeds will pop. What happens is Bailey have been sending these vans out without the right seal on the Skylight, and also without the correct spacers on the catches. And I'll just show you that now. I'll actually go and pick you up and show you, because it's quite crazy. So the seal around the window, you can see, has been replaced by our dealer, and they've also replaced one of these, or added a spacer so that this catch can catch properly. This one here wasn't catching, and the window is popping. And what that can do is, in worst case scenario, it can actually pop the Skylight, and we've had cases of people having them blown off on a motorway.
Very, very rare.
Very rarely, but obviously.
But if you buy one of these and you hear that whistle,
you're almost guaranteed to hear it.
Yeah.
Every single person that comes on, there's a Facebook group if you want to join that. They're really useful. They're really great on there. But everybody gets the Bailey whistle,
And the thing to do is to go back to your dealer if you hear that.
Yeah.
and get the seal replaced
under guarantee.
Although
and the spaces.
I do wonder if that will continue, because it is like
I don't know. It's interesting. We're going to the show tomorrow. We're going to go and have a look at Bailey. Well, I'm going to ask the guy.
We could ask if that's been resolved on the new models.
I felt like going and whistling a lot, but I bet you they haven't resolved it yet. I don't know why they don't do it, but it's possible. Not a major problem, but it needs fixing as soon as you buy it. Other little things that happened, we had a problem with a tail rail which fell off.
Yeah,
first
it
time.
It wasn't even a problem. It just wasn't very sturdy. So it's a towel rail in the shower, which when you put a reasonably heavy towel on, it fell off.
Yeah,
and
you now use command hooks.
I've given up with the towel rail, and I've got. Do you want to show them those?
Yeah, you can take it.
Right. So we now use these command hooks, these big ones, and I've got them all around the shower, and they really are rather useful for hanging dressing gowns in, and even clothes when the shower's not in use, but they are also a good place to hang towels as well. So
the washroom door handle had a bit of an issue, but again they fixed it under guarantee.
Very minor.
Yeah,
very minor.
And the sliding door, we had a smaller strap put on the sliding door, which comes out from the back.
Across the bedroom.
Minor.
Yeah.
Minor.
What it was doing was, when we were travelling, it was sliding back and forth. So we had that done, and we mentioned all this in the 6-month review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The beds, we've got the twin bed version, and I'd imagine it's not much different in the other versions either, but the mattresses on here we didn't find particularly comfortable. I know online lots of people say they're fine, but there are a lot of people also say that they go out and buy mattress toppers, or Sue, you bought
I got a bespoke mattress actually sort of made for my bed, and that's from a company called Jonic.
Put a link in.
Are interested, you can put a link in. So they make them for motorhomes.
In terms of the van's capability off grid, people have had 2 or 3 nights off grid, as long as you don't use too much in terms of lighting, or because obviously this van has got gas and electric, so if you've got a problem, then you just switch to gas for heating, that sort of thing.
The fridge
is 3-way. Using it 12 volt when you're driving, obviously not when you're not driving. Electric hook up when you're on electric hookup, or gas when you haven't got electric. We used it off grid a couple 2 or 3 nights. We involuntarily used it off grid when I messed up the electric hookup on a Stellplatz in Germany. We've got an EcoFlow. We bought an EcoFlow power bank just to give us a backup, which we then plug into the van as another extra battery. So that's quite a good.
It works as an extra battery for charging the van, doesn't it? Also, you can boil kettles and use hairdryers and numerous charge phones, do numerous things.
The van does come with a 100-watt solar panel. It's fine, and it keeps the battery charged up when you're not using the van. In storage we don't get any problems. In the winter we come and turn it over every week, probably week and a half.
Every week.
Week and a half. Just to make sure that the batteries are fine and everything's working properly. Solar in the summer keeps it going fine, not a problem. Winter's slightly more problematic. Not really an issue though. The water tank, we get an issue with, and everybody seems to get an issue with the percentage fill. There's a percentage fill on the control panel which tells you how much fresh water you've got in the tank. It depends, that the whole thing depends on the angle of the sensor in the tank, or whether the van is level or not. So we've been on pitches where we thought, well, we don't really need to be too level. We've only used shocks maybe 2 or 3 times in all the times we've been out, just to try and level it up a bit. but you will find that the percentage fill when it's not level is a little bit all over the place.
Yeah, you can't really rely on that.
We don't rely on it. People take theirs back to the dealers to get it all recalibrated.
Well, we did that, but it didn't make much difference.
No, you can recalibrate the gauge, the control panel and the gauge. But what we do when we fill up the tank is we make absolutely sure that we've opened the cap on the tank so we can physically see the water in it.
Yeah.
So that when it's filling up, we know when to switch it off.
Yeah.
When you're using the whale input from a Aquaroll, if it hits 100% on the control panel, it will switch it off, no problem.
And that does work.
And it works, and that's perfect. Sometimes, as I say, we get to about 3/4 full and it says it's 100%, so it switches it off, which gives you a bit of an issue.
Yeah, that's when you're
not level.
Unbalanced.
The biggest problem we've had, I flooded the van stupidly. We were out on a weekend in, what was it, about March time, and we were just
June or July.
Was it really?
Yeah.
And we were doing some maintenance to the van.
Yeah.
We were cleaning the tanks out, and we did we filled the tank 3 times and then flushed everything through the system, because you're supposed to do that once every year. Ours is
every 6 months.
Every 6 months, ours is coming up again. Sorry, Sue, you're right.
Yeah.
I flooded it, and the reason I flooded it was we were on a fully serviced pitch. So I had the whale hose. I had a hose attached to the tap into the whale connection. I switched on the hose and merrily filled the van up, and then I lost concentration. Sat down, we're chatting to Sue,
and I see water coming into the living area.
Because although there is a fail-safe on the tank, obviously an overflow pipe, it can't possibly match the intake speed of the hose water coming through a hose. So you've always got to be really careful if you're using a hose to manually check it. That's what I would do. And
we just tend to keep an eye on it anyway. We just undo the water tank when
every
we're filling
single
up,
time.
More or less every single time. We watch it coming in, and when it's getting near to the top, we either make sure it clicks off, or go and physically turn it off.
Yeah, and the other thing you'll find, the tank is shaped where it's a bell, not bell, but it's much bigger at the bottom of the tank and much smaller at the top of the tank. So you'll take ages and ages to fill it to 30%, quite a bit of time to fill it to 60%, and then suddenly it will just go 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, bam,
it goes done. From 70 to 100 it goes really quick, so you have to watch that. So you just got to be really careful. All we're saying is, with this, it's fine, it's probably no different to any other motorhome, but on this one, just be careful when you're filling the tank and don't rely on the percentage on the control panel. Otherwise you could end up with a flood, like we did. We've got gas. I've put it on another bit of film that we can show, but our gas is 2 bottles. We've got a refillable bottle, flow gas, not flow gas, but it's actually LPG refillable. Our dealer fitted that for us, plus an exchangeable bottle. They're both 6 kilograms. You can, I think, fit an 11 kilogram and a 6 kilogram in there. And we found that the gas, we're newbies with motorhome life. We found out the gas is crazy, isn't it? It literally lasts for so long. Yeah, it seems to be very economical, and we've just recently come back from Europe, and while I was there, I decided I was going to keep a log of every time we used gas and roughly for how long for, and we were full on gas in both canisters, the LPG and the other one, when we left, and very soon we're going to go and fill up to see how much we put in other words, to find out how much we used against the minutes we used it.
My guess is, based on the gauge we've got out there, that we've used just over a third of one tank. So in a month.
And there was quite a lot of usage.
I think so. I've lots of tips and tricks, but that's really about motorhome life rather than this specific model.
Yes, we're talking just about the review of the van this time, aren't we?
The carpets, I don't know if you want to show.
Well, they need a hoover.
They do need it. We need a hoover because we've only just literally
come back. But these carpets, I find very frustrating. So I know a lot of people just take them out and put rugs down. I have got a hoover. A van hoover.
That's it.
Sorry,
I'll film you.
No, it's all right. I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done now.
All right.
I think.
Yeah.
But really, all the dust, anything you drop, it goes all around the edges and underneath the carpets. So they are a bit of a waste of space, and they drive me mad. So I'm hoping to get a fitted carpet in this bit, so just in the
main living area.
In the main living area, because up the steps into the bedroom, it's not such an issue anyway, because they're easy to pull up and sweep underneath.
Yeah.
And also they've got, and what do you call them, cabinets?
Yeah,
storage underneath on the steps. So a fitted carpet wouldn't work.
Yeah.
But this area, there's nothing underneath. So we could get away with
There's no hatches underneath.
No
this
hatches,
part.
nothing we need to get to. Just need to be careful not to flood it.
And we need to be open. And we need to be able to open these doors, because you've got the battery and the fuses and stuff.
So
under there.
if we get that done, I'll show you. I'll show you once we've got it done, and I'm hoping for that. And also the quality's not good on these, so I think it'll make the whole van a lot more cosy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Areas that where you've got to, in terms of consideration before you buy it, we've talked about the payload and the whistle, which were the biggest issues we've had. If you wanted to get a tow car, you can't with this Bailey Adamo. The new one, apparently, you've got to check it out for yourselves, but the new one apparently you can use. It has got the weight bearing for a tow bar and potentially
we could
a
check
tow
at the
car.
show.
We could check actually, maybe feedback on that. Yeah. I've mentioned some of the outside issues. There's a couple. The electric hookup point is annoying, because every time you open the door, it bangs against the electric hookup point. Get your dealer, if you buy one, get your dealer to get you a right-angled electric hookup cable. And what I mean right-angled is it goes in so that fitment comes out at a right angle rather than goes straight out. Because when it goes straight out, you have to have the cap flap up, and that whacks in the door, so it's poorly designed. But again, not a major problem, just something we've discovered in our year in the van. We've had a problem with one of the steps that go up to the beds. Just basically very small screws. It's a weight thing for the van. They're obviously trying to reduce the weight. Very tiny screws, and 6 of them, and they've all basically ripped out at one point. But our dealer, under guarantee, has fixed that again, so that's absolutely fine.
During the hab check, they've fixed that.
We've had a few issues with trim, but I've used some glue and stuck bits of trim back on. And again, not a major problem. We have had air suspension fitted to the van. There's a separate video I've released on that one. We went up to Glide Right in
near Liverpool.
I can't remember the place. Wallasey. Fantastic bunch. They've fitted air suspension. It means the ride of this van is absolutely brilliant with that on. It was fine beforehand, but you did tend to get a bit buffeted. It's a big van. It's 7.5 meters, and it's a high van too, 2.9 meters high. It does get buffeted a bit by lorries on the motorway
and high winds.
And so we got that fixed. We got the air suspension fitted. It now makes such a big difference to our ride and the way I drive the van. The van, what does it not come with? We were looking at vans before we bought the Adamo that had Wi-Fi as standard, that had an awning as standard. This has neither as standard. Barbecue point we had put in separately. That didn't. You're absolutely right. So there's 3 things. So Wi-Fi obviously is quite expensive to put a router in.
The awning was
pretty expensive.
About £1,000.
No, it was about 650 quid.
Right,
but to put a full awning on here is expensive. So you've got to think about all those things when you go for the layout, because we bought this really for the layout, and then everything else.
Yes, I mean it was a very impulsive buy, but you'd have to go back to a different video.
That's
although
right.
we had looked at it, we did know that we liked it.
But
it wasn't. It was against the original plan.
And the layout was why we bought it.
The layout was
so
what
good.
we wanted. It ticked those boxes.
But when you're looking at comparing price with other vans, just always make sure you've got these little add-ons. So Wi-Fi, has it got Wi-Fi? Has it got an awning? Has it got a barbecue point? All those sorts of things, which this didn't have as a basic standard. Maybe the 24, 25 Adamos have got that added in.
Again, if we notice that tomorrow, when we go to the show, we'll feedback.
The battery is a lead acid battery, which is fine, but it means you've got to check it every 3 months for the acid, for the water levels, distilled water. So I need to. That's the job I've got to do. Actually, I keep meaning to do it. I haven't done it for a couple of weeks since we've been back from France. So yeah, very easy job to do. But it's if you've got other batteries, other forms of batteries, it's something you don't have to do. There's a waste. I put a waste pipe on this van. The van comes with a waste pipe that comes direct from the waste tank in the middle of the back of the van. So it's fine if you're driving over a drive-away motorhome service point, grey waste disposal point. However, if you're on, say, a fully serviced pitch, or if you're on a small CL or somewhere that hasn't got a motorhome service point, it's a right pain, because you've got to get under the van with a waste master and fill it from there and then take it to the drain. It's
a bit awkward, especially if someone wasn't all that mobile.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I fitted a grey waste pipe from Prima Leisure, which has subsequently fallen off. Not my fault, it's poorly designed. I've actually fitted one myself. I've got a couple of videos on there which you can have a look at. I'll link those into the description up here or here. Yeah, it's a bit of a pain for as a new van.
Something to be aware of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't quite know what other motorhomes do. I mean, this is our first motorhome.
First motorhome, so we don't know.
I'm sure they have waste pipes. Most of them would come out the side of the van. Again, the van that we looked at had a waste pipe right next to the other exit points. So that was all. We talked about the tank fill, storage. There's so much storage in this van. It's fantastic. We've got 2 big lounge over seat covers in the lounge. You've got 3 big kitchen cupboards. You've got cupboards underneath here. You've got loads of storage space here, and both sides of the Skylight. And then massive wardrobes at the back, one of which you could get 2 people in, literally. However, they're not wardrobe size.
Yeah.
So if you
there's loads of storage under the beds, to what David means, and the one on the near side is what they call the wardrobe, and it's got a rail in it.
Yeah.
Certainly from my point of view as a lady, I find it very difficult I've got no storage for hanging dresses straight, or so it's all right for tops and jeans, but if you're going to something formal, that's the only thing in the van that I really don't like. But I've got around it by if I want to hang something like that, I tend to hang it on the command hooks in the shower area. Yeah. So I kind of use that as a wardrobe as well. Yeah. And then when I want to use the shower, everything comes out. But that's not a big issue. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean that's probably about everything we've got on the list. I've taken you around outside. I've shown you some of the areas outside. We've talked about everything inside, all our experiences. What it's an interest. Just to finish off, it's an interesting one. There's a Facebook group called the Bailey Adamo group. If you're not a member of that, then join there, because it's so brilliant,
and it's friendly.
And so helpful. Anybody that's got a problem, you virtually all times of night and day, someone will go, "Oh, my electric hookups. What's this error code on the Truma? Blah blah blah," and someone will go, "Yeah, it's this." So there's always someone on there. Seems to be to help. But the Facebook group is really helpful, really brilliant. So, but what you tend to find on there is people who are new join the Facebook group, and of course everything on that Facebook, about 90% of stuff on the Facebook group is people asking questions when they've got a problem. Yeah. Most of it is really minor, really minor. There's hardly ever a major problem. But when you read through that group, it comes across as fairly negative, and people go, "Oh, we're reading all these comments and all these questions, and it sounds like an absolute shambles." What you've got to remember is that people will post stuff like that on a Facebook group for help.
It's not negative anyway. It's just negative. Usually people asking for help with something. But what I mean is, if you read it, you think, all these things go wrong. Yes, yeah. But and actually, I think it's the same probably on most groups.
Absolutely. And most motorhomes will have exactly the same set of problems, exactly the same set of questions. So don't be put off. And I was going to say that this video probably has more negatives than positives. So we need to talk about the positives, which are that we absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Despite all the little niggles that have gone on, we absolutely love it. The drive of this Ford is fantastic. The automatic engine is fantastic. The seating position, the whole cab, the way the seats turn around, we've got the table's good. We've got brilliant kitchen. We've got lovely separate shower and washroom, and it's just we love it.
Fridge is big.
Big fridge.
Cooker, 4-ring cooker, 3 gas, 1 electric, and everything is good about it.
Yeah.
Really?
And we've had some fantastic times. We did a 3-week Scottish trip. We absolutely loved it. The Europe trip we've just come back from was absolutely memorable. You know, it was brilliant, wasn't it? And the van performed. We didn't have any issues. The only issue was self-inflicted when I made a complete mess up on a Stelplats and paid somebody else's electric, and so our electric ran out.
Yeah.
So
we definitely recommend the van.
Yeah, 100%, absolutely 100%. But all we're saying is just look at all the considerations that we've talked about before you go out and spend your hard-earned cash.
Yeah.
You need to know what you're buying. You need to be absolutely aware of any issues that may arise, probably won't, and you need to know what's included and what's not included. So you can talk to a dealer, or you can talk to who you're buying it from, and actually negotiate around those points. That's all.
And if you've got any questions on any of these points, ask us below.
Please, because we will come back to you. And if there's a question we don't know, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go onto the Bailey Adamo Facebook group and ask them, because they will know. Somebody will know.
Yeah. If we don't. So
as newbies to this,
we don't feel new anymore. I don't.
But we learn every time.
Yeah, you still keep learning.
Every single time we learn.
You still keep learning. I think will carry on learning all the time.
So, but it's been a brilliant journey for us, and we've done, as I say, 114 nights in 57,
all
58
sorts of weathers.
sites. Oh gosh, snow.
All sorts of sites, big sites, small sites.
Storms, gale force winds. Yeah, all the rest of it. So, we've experienced quite a lot, and hopefully it's been a useful video for you if you're looking to get an Adamo, or you've already got one.Maybe there's stuff on here that we haven't covered, or we have covered that you didn't know about. So
so if you've liked the video, give us a thumbs up, press the subscribe button if you want to see more, and the notification bell so you get notified of our videos.
And also, we've got a back catalogue of loads of stuff which hopefully you'll find useful as well. So,
and we're also on Instagram and Facebook.
Oh, we are,
if you want to find us there.
MB Nature Trail Van.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers, bye. Thanks again, guys. See you on the next one.